Hello and thank you so much for being part of Joy Asonye Live this beautiful evening. As usual, we'll be discussing very important political issues around Nigeria, and today we'll be reviewing the just concluded off-cycle elections that held over the weekend. The results have been proclaimed and mixed reactions continue to follow how that election was indeed conducted. Several candidates have cried out of the massive vote buying or financial inducement. I think that's the beautiful words to call it, financial inducement, that followed the election process. There were logistical problems, just as some places still recorded violence in spite of all the advocacies against that was made prior to that. We'll be reviewing what happened in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi State. As I said earlier, winners have been called out by the Independent National Electoral Commission, but is this the kind of democracy, the kind of election process that we wish for? That's the question my guests will be answering. And later in the program, we would also take the conversation to the NLC, TUC, and other unions that have joined the strike action. Is it best for our economy right now to stifle the economy? Are we there yet when it comes to the reasons why we should go on a strike action? Do we all agree that it's time for strike action to get the government to do the bidding of the NLC? Well, it will be an interesting one, so stay tuned as I'll introduce my guest right now. Thank you so much for being part of the program right now. Woye Adeyemi, he's a political analyst. It's always wonderful to have you. You have a very peculiar way of looking at things. It's always refreshing. And for some of us who follow you on X, it's always refreshing to hear your side of how you look at things. It will be interesting.
Thank you for having me.
Well, at this point, we'll go for a very short break to return to get to the crux of the matter. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from that short break. Like I said earlier, we have Woye Adeyemi in the studio with me to discuss. We'll start from the review of the off-cycle elections, and in spite of that advocacy against violence, electoral violence, against voter inducement, against so many vices around our election process, what would you say the elections look like in your view?
Yeah, good evening, viewers. I think INEC has done well in terms of this election. Even the reports from independent observers show that materials were delivered on time. And the process of accreditation, BVAS works, IWeb works. So, but you see, when you look at, let's just isolate those states by one. Okay. If you look at Kogi State from 1979, that was Haute Kwara State. Now, to 1999, you find that Kogi State has a peculiar issues in terms of, election. There's more of a tribal ethnic issues. So you're expecting, even if you are driving from Abuja to Lagos in those days, and you pass through Kenny, you know how what happened in that area. So I don't expect what happened in the election in Kogi State, even the violence level reduced, not increased. It's just in isolated places now.
Yes, there were pockets of violence recorded, right? Normal in Kogi State. If you have taken a lot of time to read about Kogi State itself, it's not about PDP, about APC, about any party. It's a peculiarity of that area. So I think with time, I expect Kogi State citizens to also improve their electioneering processes so that we can get it right. But averagely, INEC did well. Nobody said there was no material, there was late materials.
nothing like that. All they were complaining is over voting in some places where here and there. And nobody is saying that IRF had any glitch.
Yes, those issues that we had during the general elections. However, you can also, I know that the People's Democratic Party candidate cried out that materials came filled with well, like somebody said earlier, voodoo votes, that some sensitive materials came with already filled out forms.
You see, if you understand politics, politicians always make false accusations.
You call that false?
Yes, because there was a way the materials were kept in CBN. The sensitive material kept in CBN for distribution early, around 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock a.m. And every party agent will be there to observe when the materials will be taken out from CBN to INEC offices, to their whatever polling units or so. So he should have asked his own agent. Where was he? At that place. So if you cannot ask your agent, where were you? That place when they are distributing materials. You're not saying, electoral results. You can go to any place, to any printer, to print whatever I call INEC fake election printouts, and somebody will fill it, and you are saying it's a pre-election thing. Okay, the question is this: you have agent, your polling unit. The results declared at the polling unit, was it there from the one it was transmitted to IRF? So you can just sit down like somebody in Biapalo and said, "Oh, I saw one result somewhere on the road," or maybe you go and buy suya and there are two. You see, there's INEC results in suya man's place. So those ones are just losers.
But this was way before anybody emerged. That is why it was. I don't see what would you say anybody stands to gain by making such serious accusations? He even pointed to INEC to deny it.
Let's understand the process. Sensitive materials, non-sensitive materials to be shared.
Of course.
Before to be shared, INEC requested
all political parties
to send their representatives. Nobody will enter CBN without those guys. Agents.
Right.
The cars they're going to use, your agents will be there. So, at what point did your agent decided to go and sleep?
Okay. We'll still continue this conversation, but we'll just go for a very quick short break. We'll return to continue. We still have Woye Adeyemi right here in the studio. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We still have Woye Adeyemi right here in the studio. We'll be discussing the review of the off-cycle elections that was held over the weekend. We were just taking it one state at a time. We had gotten to Kogi State, where you say there are peculiarities to how elections so far is usually conducted and how volatile it often is. You are even commending INEC as to how the conduct of this particular elections. Let me, if you can just continue your thought process.
Yeah, we must also commend police and other security agencies for their professionalism in terms of dealing with violence in those areas, and then they were able to arrest so many people.
Yes. Unfortunately, some people even lost their lives.
Yeah, that's too bad. When I'm talking about Imo State now, you see, like, let me go back to Kogi State. In Kogi State, you know what, we have the SDP guy is a member of APC.
Yes, used to be.
Used to be member. APC come back to APC.
Oh, that's what you believe, that he will return to the APC.
SDP was a vehicle for him to be able to achieve that aim. Now, there is another candidate, Honorable Abegunde, also
yes,
in Kogi State, that ordinarily it doesn't have any electoral value. It just went there to contribute to the election. Then PDP should have brought somebody else than Dipo Melaye that would have made that contest a very tough one.
that would have made it tough enough for the APC. What is wrong with Senator Dino Melaye of the PDP?
Dino Melaye, with due respect to him, I don't think it's somebody that you can entrust governance.
Somebody who served in the Senate and House of Representatives. I'm trying to understand why.
How did it end as of Rep? It was suspended. It was suspended. It was in Senate. He supported Saraki. Saraki left. He moved to Atiku. Is that loyalty?
Is that what you put together to look at who would be a good governor?
A state governor must be a serious-minded person, not a jester, not a comedian. A person with intellectual capacity.
Intellectual capacity.
That can run a state. So you have to be you have to get someone who is a serious-minded person. Not.
I still would like to ask, what about him makes you think he's not serious-minded? He came out to buy the form. He won the PDP primaries during elections, during the primary elections, and he has been able to garner so many votes. I mean, the PDP came third in that. I was trying not to say distant third, but in this case, the PDP came really close.
Even the primaries, the register that was brought from Wadata, that is PDP head office in Abuja, Lokoja, some certain categories of people complained that names were substituted. So before the election, in Kogi PDP, they already had a crisis. So you can't expect a party that had crisis will survive in the state election. It's not possible.
Why not? No. I mean, we've seen it in other states, haven't we?
Which state?
We've seen it in okay, look at Imo, for instance.
We didn't that in Imo State, which crisis in APC? No, the party made sure that Okorocha and Hope Uzodinma were reconciled.
Okay, Ogun State.
Imo State. Hope Uzodinma and Okorocha's in-law were reconciled. So the party went to that election united. In Labour Party, there was a crisis. In Labour Party, it was another person that was supposed to be the Gonish cabinet, not the senator. So you now have crisis. In PDP, former governor Ayodele, he was not participating, supporting the party. So the only person against Hope was Joe Ajero.
Yes.
Who wanted to influence the election.
The only person?
He wanted to influence the election by all means to get Hope out. But he failed.
Because of that protest?
Yes,
is that right?
He was humiliated. He was disgraced. Because you decided to cut off electricity. You decided to withdraw services at the airport.
We will get. I don't want us to dwell too much on this, especially because we'll be talking about the NLC shortly. But I would like us to also go into the Bayelsa elections. The APC, that's the party you seem very empathetic towards, failed in that elections as well. What would you say happened there?
You see, in Bayelsa, I think Bayelsa case is just like the 8 years tenure that if the governor Olondiri spent, going to spend 8 years.
Right.
Now it means it will go back to another zone the following 4 years.
Okay.
Now you now have Timis Silva coming to spend just 4 years. After 4 years, Timis tenure will have
elapsed. Yeah.
So now you don't have like another zone, the zone that will come after Timmy, that will problem. So I think, you see, the peculiarities of each state in Bayelsa is that I predicted that, okay, look, during we win the election. That's because of the local issues in that contest. But mind you, if you look at what happened in Nembe and Brass or Southern Ijo, I think he has a case, Silver has a good case in the courts.
Would you suggest that he follows through with a court process?
Yeah, I told him to.
Because I mean, I'm seeing a reputable elder statesman in the state asking him to just let it go. Is it because they believe that he has a chance in the court with technicalities, or he indeed won the elections? Why would you say he should go to court?
No, I tweeted that he should go to court. It is within his right.
It is within his right.
But I don't want that to be. I don't want Nigerians to get used to that, the word technicalities. You see, we're attacking our judiciary system by that.
Very often, our political process means you finish an election, you head to court, the court often determines who indeed won. That seems to be a culture or ritual back here in Nigeria. So, is that what you are asking for? Can we have a winner understand, or rather losers understand that it was well contested, we did well we could, but the people's choice was above everything?
Well, you see, when we can amend our electoral law that will not allow court to determine a winner of election, and at the same time our political leaders should understand that, look, once election is over, it's over. You can wait for the next 4 years. General Buhari tried for 4 times. He got it. So, but let us look at it from an angle that we can deepen our democracy.
Institutions, right.
Institutions by not allowing courts to determine the winner for us. And INEC has done a considerable job doing this election. I mean, nobody can say, oh, IRF had these issues or not. And you see, by the way, you have your political agents in your unit. That is the primary source of election results, not even IRF. Like the court said, IRF is not a collation center. IRF is just for you to view. Therefore, is the results in your polling unit different from the one INEC transmitted into IRF? That is a question that we should be asking ourselves.
But let's talk about Imo State, where the Labour Party agent cried out during collation to say that this result you're collating does not tally with one I have gotten from other polling units. It does not tally. And you say that the agents are even more important than IREV. It's not a collation center. The IREV isn't. However, what do you expect these agents to see when they see discrepancies? Our agent recorded this, and now you are uploading this.
Okay, let me repeat to you. Collation center is not a court.
It is not.
You have 7 days. The law says you have 7 days to write back to INEC and to complain whatever infractions you discovered. Therefore, that guy was disturbing the collation center, and the law gives a power to election personnel to take him out. You can stop the process. You have no power. But if assuming, without considering to him, that polling unit A has 10 and INEC allegedly, according to him, announced 4. The fact that his agent has, there's a word collation.
Exactly.
There's local collation. Now you are coming to state collation. Now, at the work collation level, you didn't complain. Local government level, you didn't complain. And your agent's signature was the same signature that INEC announced. So if you have all this kind of thing, then go to court.
So nothing can be done at that point where you say there are discrepancies. Can we look into it more?
They have 7 days.
No, I mean,
as a power.
Like in local palace, they will say, "Acid hot." This is not tallying with what we've got. So you can't.
At what level? At what level? Was there any difference? At government level, was there any difference? At the same polling unit, the polling unit officers transmitted scanned papers to IRF. You didn't complain. I think we should learn to allow to allow due process to happen. You didn't complain.
Okay, now let's go to the role of political parties. I mean, election observers, there were civil society situation room that complained about these elections. Yaga Africa, EU-sponsored TAF Africa, and Center for Democracy and Development Election Analysis Center all reported several challenges: the massive vote buying, collusion between state government and officials, security agencies, electoral officials. This is very concerning when you talk about the election process in Nigeria, and it's recurring this narrative. What would you say the role of political parties, rather, what would you say political parties played a role in doing this? You have commended INEC, security agencies, but observers did not find it funny at all.
Observers in some reports wrote on their own, like I said, INEC delivered polling materials on time. Now, you see, we have to be careful with observers in Nigeria. I am not comfortable with observers in Nigeria.
Including the international observers?
I'm telling you why. How many places are they monitoring? Two, the practical source of observers in Nigeria, I don't want to mention their name, you mention their name. They have biases, biased mind.
Political sympathies?
I know some of them that they provide candidate A to candidate B. There was no way we can report accurate issues. So let's understand that particular fact, that they have a preferred candidate. They have a preferred party. So if most of them have been to Rwanda, you collect donor funds, you have to declare it. You have to see who are funding you. If you see the corruption that is going on in observers sector
in Nigeria,
you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. We know those who brought one back to Abuja, and we know those who are driving jeep now. So, but that's another one. So look at the results. Look at the result.
But it's not concerning, though. I mean, everybody cannot be in this pool that you have mentioned. If one person tells you you are a goat, the second person tells you are a goat, at the third time, I think you should just start eating grass, is what they often say. I mean, everybody would not necessarily be conspiring with other political parties. There are several observers here, several reputable observers here.
They've not issued final report. What they issued was
preliminary
reports, and where that report, I think I've read it, they concluded, besides, you see, the votes inducement, voters inducement, can they produce one person that, okay, on camera, they call this person? Yes, of course, it could be hearsay, it could be there, but in your report,
well, you have tactically undermined the opinions of the PDP governorship candidates in Kogi State. I wanted to go back to him. I'm talking about the massive vote buying that was alleged, where he said a copper who was an ad hoc staff for the INEC was caught with about ₦1 million in a bag.
There was EFCC, ICPC on the feed. So why can't you report to EFCC, ICPC? Due process. He's a senator. It was there when the law was passed. So, television station, Twitter, Instagram is not caught. It should follow the law. Simple. It follow the law. So if I able to say, okay, there was a copper, according to him, all he needs to do is to call attention of EFCC, ICPC, and police, and take him, arrest the person, they follow.
So having followed these elections, we've also heard calls by very important or rather politically exposed Nigerians asking for the end of off-cycle elections. Would you agree? Having seen, we were expecting that, off-cycle elections, because INEC will not be as overwhelmed as they used to be during the general elections. It will be seamless. Security will be under control better, and logistics will not be a problem. However, there are still pockets of problems here and there, and some people are asking for the end of off-cycle elections. Let's have it at once.
You see, it's going to be a constitutional amendment process. Now, if you are saying Kogi State now, governors should also, should start from, this year election. So it means that the next governor of Kogi State should be, in 2027.
Yeah.
Now you need to amend the constitution. You also need to.
But it's just a couple of months, so.
Yeah,
February elections.
We have states like Edo and Ondo next year.
Yes.
We have
Osun
too. Yes. So you have to amend the constitution to allow the particular thing to happen. Well, it's a good suggestion, but at the same time, logistics is very bad. Because one, you see, those governors can go back to the Supreme Court. There's a court judgment that says your tenure starts from your swearing in. So, Azumi in Bayelsa now, it said Diri is no more governor.
Maybe after 6 months.
After 6 months. So when Sylvia will be sworn in, then that means that governorship starts in the next 6 months. So until National Assembly can amend electoral law and can amend the constitution, that says whether or not your election was nullified by the courts. 4 years is 4 years. So but at the same time, the other person can also claim that under human rights have been changed.
Yes.
So it's an ongoing conversation.
However, do you think that our off-cycle elections are not doing as well as it should?
But you see, the point you are making is this. When they say off-cycle elections are not good, it's because the candidate lost. If the candidates are won, they will comment INEC.
That's what you think?
Bam, 100%. So all these off-cycle things are not going. It's because your candidate lost. Simple as ABC. So assuming Labour won Imo State, there will be strike today because the main person, it was a personalized human being called Joe Ajero against a governor of the state. He wanted to influence, unless you're not going to church, that Ajero not to influence that election.
Okay, you seem to be really taking us to the NLC rift with Imo State government. Well, having said that, we'll go for a short break to return to get into that story. Are we going on strike because there's solidarity for what happened to Joe Ajero? We'll be right back to discuss more. This is still Joy Asoye Live. Welcome back. This is still Joy Asoye Live, and we're taking the conversation to the NLC, TUC, and recently we just heard that the ASU, that's the Association of University lecturers, have also started, or in solidarity joined that strike action that was threatened some time ago. Unfortunately, the narrative for the reason for this strike is that attack that happened to Joe Ajero, the president of the NLC, a couple of days ago in Imo State. Nigerians have had mixed reactions as to what to think of this, the justification for why people should close shop because Joe Ajero was attacked. My guest in the studio will tell us why, if he thinks that there's even justification for a strike action at this point where our economy should not just be running but running fast. We still have Woye Adeyemi right here in the studio. Thank you for staying put. But what did you think when you heard about this strike action and the justification for it?
You see, one, I don't support violence. That's my one. Number two, there's no dispute between Imo State government and Imo State workers. Assuming there's a dispute, Trade Dispute Act says you must give 21 days notice to government. And if the government fails to act, you go on strike. Now, if you go on strike and the government fails to act, the state workers union will write to national for support and help to escalate the issue up there. These are the due processes. Then the federal, the national NLC will now come to Owerri to intervene, to hear the side of the state government before taking action. They will refer the case back to conciliator. The conciliator is the Minister of Federal Ministry of Labor, Employment and Productivity. All those steps were violated by a dictator called Woye Adeyemi. So, why will you go to Owerri when it was obvious that you are supporting Labour Party? Because NLC is a brutal of Labour Party. If you are complaining about Imo State, maybe assuming said you were owing salaries.
Right.
Bayelsa was owing salaries.
They were starting from Imo
Why
State.
not Bayelsa? Why not other states? Now you shouted against fuel subsidy. Only federal workers, they're enjoying 30,000%. The Nigerians, the rest Nigerians, they're not enjoying anything. You abandon them, you forget them. So, Woye Adeyemi is an interested party in this election.
I mean, I know that the governor had cried out that unfortunately he finds the president of the NLC political in the way he handles things. But if things are not right for labor workers in a certain state, irrespective of what it is, you don't think he should have gone on that protest?
I just explained to you the steps by step. You see,
how often do these steps follow through?
It works. You see, we have Terrorism Act that's prohibited electric workers from going to strike. It's an essential service. When they tried that thing during Baghdad regime, those guys know what happened.
True.
So, you see, today, I tweeted today that the Imo State government should go to court and test that act, whether they have the power to cut electricity. People have suffered. You're not punishing the governor. You're punishing people. You went to the airport last week. Shut it down. Today, Nigerian workers,
maritime, academic, medical staff,
strike. Now you are paying China loan payback. The same NLC, they are shouting about higher cost of loan servicing. Now today, you close everything down. We've lost money today. People have lost money. Whatever happened, the IG of police has set up a committee to investigate what happened to Joe. Were they police?
Or the mob that police alleged happened?
Or anything. Or what they himself likes to be in a way. It could be a personal issues. So, whatever happened, the commissioner of police that was there had been transferred to another state.
That was one of their demands, that the commissioner be removed.
Why don't you allow due process to find out who attacked you?
For context, I'm sure a lot of, if I am attacked, I will know who attacked me. And he is telling us that it is the Nigerian police that attacked him on the orders of the governor.
Well, it is an alleged statement.
It's an alleged statement.
So,
however,
he it must go. I didn't witness it.
I didn't witness it either.
Therefore, if you say, okay, fine, arranged those people that were there, identify those policemen, and then the Police Service Commission will take it up. So, but because, see, right now, Governor Uzodimma and Ajero, whatever they say, we need a third party to provide it. These are the interested issues. There's nobody, there's no small child that they will say, what do you do? That will agree that, okay, look, I did this.
I'm complacent.
Yes, nobody. So look at third party. Government can set up independent panel. But what happened to Joe should not be limited to personal level. It's a personal issue. You are behaving as if you are alternative president in Nigeria. So the federal government must do the job. If Joe crosses his line, everyone will not fall down. He should be in jail.
Well, at what point would you say crosses his line? Is within his rights
to
call for a strike action? Right.
The law says what will be the dispute. How do you go on strike? Is federal own salary?
Federal government is not, but Labour had lined up several
what are the issues? What are the issues?
Needs that the government was implementation from which this government has not even.
Part of the committee.
Yes, but the government has not delivered on it.
I read Ray Epple's article today, Guardian, and when Joe said the minister is not answering them, he said, "Who will you meet? The vice president, minister of labour, minister of labour. He has a registrar of labour, of trade union. He can revoke that NLC license. NLC is not working on their own. We have seen government of the past disbanded NLC. So there's nothing new. Nigeria will not collapse.
Is that the way if you have to suggest to this
government should register more unions. You see, you cannot allow the interests of one person to override the other people. We're not saying, see, like I said, I don't support balance.
Wohowever, but are you concerned that these affiliate unions are joining in? There must be something very important that they seem to be following. Or Joe Adeyemi is indeed a precedent to align it.
ASUU cannot go on strike because National Judicial Court and Appeal Court has made a clear pronouncement on it. This same government gave them 40%, whatever also, of their salary, of the voter salaries. Now, this same government, if you look at ASUU members, they don't support. You see, there's a cabal that has hijacked trade union right now, based on their political affiliation. They are not working for the people. They are working for their pockets.
Well, however, we are seeing that ASUU is joining. That's the report we've been getting, that ASUU is joining. Medical staff have also joined, in spite of that court injunction to stop the strike. You have mentioned what the government can do. Would you be suggesting that to this government to say, you know what, you should take NLC to court?
Government should test the law. We cannot continue to pamper Joe. We cannot. So the day Joe girlfriend is having a problem, you wake up tomorrow and said, "Oh yeah, take off the light." Abba, we should not. See, once you can allow Joe to escape this one, tomorrow, if Joe comes to see the president and they didn't allow him to see him on time, Joe just say, "Okay, Joe
strike action."
Strike action.
But you do admit that there were some demands in NLC, TUC during the many MOUs that was signed, made that the government has not really delivered.
No. What are the issues? What are the issues?
After the removal of subsidy?
Yes, government promised CNG buses. They are installing conversion kits. Joe and TUC, they are members of the group. Going around Nigeria. Government promised palliative of 30,000 naira. They paid one. Now, for workers. Now, you cannot pay again until supplementary budget is approved, which has been approved and the president has signed. So you wait till November ending to collect another palliative.
Right.
Now, which other conditions? The member of the committee, NLC and TUC, they were present. They are to feed Joe and his gang, but Joe has no time. Joe has time to go and face Hope at the Owerri. That's why they give you some small reset. So if Joe had at his time and stayed at Abuja, he would have been following the implementation of
those
policies. But it was busy. It was busy. Assuming Labour had won, that would be strike today.
That's what you believe.
Correct.
But the attack was already done, and even if Labour had won, I mean, I think the attack really exacerbated issues for the NLC.
Joe, see, there was no dispute between government and NLC. There was dispute between, okay, assuming Joe happened to go to a stadium now or a club and had altercation in a club. Is that place official NLC issue? That's not issue. So Joe, if he coughs, if he sneezes, if he drinks, the water is not cold. Now
you're being very funny about it. I'm not sure it's that bad.
No, we should call him to order.
But I asked the question I don't think you really gave me an answer to. These affiliate unions that are joining in, why do you think the justification for it is?
No, the union, NLC is a association of a lot of unions. So they are sympathizing with their president, which is a normal thing.
How is that normal if you think it's a personal issue with Imo State? You have a personal issue, sir, but we should not stifle medical services. We should not stifle electricity workers. We should
don't forget, I mentioned something about the leaders of those affiliate unions.
They are all compromised.
Those leaders, they have a political affiliation. You see, when we have Hassan Sumonu as NMC president, you don't even know whether he's supporting MPN or UPN. Fact of the case. But here you now have union that their political inclination moves to here and there.
But I mean, there should be some that have some sympathy for this government. So why do we have a host of them all supporting or rather leaning towards political parties that do not support this government?
You see, the power of the president, if you look at the constitution, the president of the union and the secretary general of the union will summon a meeting.
Okay.
And members to the neck, whether you like it or not, whether you say, let's give this government
a chance.
No. Already that been decided by caucus.
So they are bullied to agree. It's unfortunate, but because we're really running out of time, I would like to ask you as your last take, what would you think this government should do as it is? I mean, taking it to court and like you say, testing that constitution.
Take him to court.
Take him to court might take a while. If this strike action continues tomorrow, it might affect several economic activities.
They cannot go beyond today, tomorrow, perhaps next tomorrow.
Okay.
But
that's one day too many.
They are playing to gallery.
But that's one day too many.
Playing gallery. But you see, it's like a child, like a parent. You want to discipline a child, you can take your time. But you think when that child thinks nothing will happen, that time you hit him back.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
Is that what your president is doing?
So government will not put their arms. Government is not weak.
And yet they are flouting a court order.
Yes. So, but by the time government will react back appropriately, it will be justified. How many people are supporting Joe today? People went to work. How many are supporting Joe?
Some states, I think Taraba refused to be part of it completely.
That is it. A person selling bread and beans at the site of Julius Berger, they're working. So Joe forgot them to give them mass transport, and went to Imo State as his own problem. So Joe himself is not a friend of the poor.
That is in the demands he has put forward to the government so far? That's your opinion of his demands?
Joe is a friend of the poor. Joe is a friend of himself. NLCs have transport service.
Yes.
So why the bosses now? He didn't solve that problem. At Yaba, he's going to Owerri. What had he shut the airports when he was there in Owerri? He let Owerri foolish. Come to Abuja, then say, okay, oh.
But you keep talking about Owerri, but if Joe, I mean, it's not news that he told the world who, or rather he told Nigerians who to vote. I mean, during the general elections, he was not, he didn't hide his feelings about who to vote. He's a Labour man, and the Labour Party is, I mean, that's old news. However, why do you think he was more interested in Owerri? He didn't go to Kogi State to start a protest. He didn't go to Bayelsa State to start a protest.
Because
or is it a personal program he has with the governor?
Personal issue, next election, next 4 years. So, you know, in politics, you need to prepare ahead. The day election is over, that's the beginning of preparing for another election.
So he might have political ambition? Is that what you're implying?
He might not have political ambition, but might be like working towards a particular answer.
I need you to be clearer.
No, my working towards an answer. No,
what does an answer mean? I mean, I am in the studio with you and I don't understand. So I'm sure my viewers are also struggling.
See, in politics, those who want to contest next election now, they are
already working, right?
They are working. They will show faces. You will see them in wedding, funeral ceremony, birthdays.
Eating with the poor.
Taking pictures. I mean, doing school rehabilitations, hospital renovation, road, borehole, all sorts of things.
You know this political issues.
These are the things that we do. Sit down, and like I said, you go and eat corn, you go and eat amala, you go and eat samovita, whatever also. But you see, the point is that let us obey and follow the law.
Right.
So whoever attacked Joe, also, like I said, they should be prosecuted. They should be prosecuted. Or everybody involved.
Joe is saying that it is the security agencies that are colluding with the state governor, and the security agencies said they were giving, it was a case of protective custody, so we don't know who to believe. So, well, we see how it pans out. It will be interesting. I just hope that economic activities will resume in cases where it was implemented more for the strike. But Woye Adeyemi, is always wonderful to have you. Like I said earlier, everyone, I mean, I told you he has a very interesting ways of looking at things. But you have opened our eyes to several things this evening. Thank you. This is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. We'll be back tomorrow with so much more. So do have a restful evening.